Hello everybody, how are you? Today we are going to start with the cause of the Russian Revolution. Remember that we worked with the causes of the Russian Revolution. Well, we are going to deal with the first stage of the Russian Revolution, something that I have already anticipated to you in previous classes. I think that I anticipated this in the last class we had online. The first stage of the Russian Revolution started in February 1917. The Tsar, remember, was fighting the war in the Eastern Front, and when he was told that strikes were present in all Russia, he ordered the soldiers to shoot demonstrators. He ordered the soldiers to, that is to say, to annihilate the demonstrators or the strikers. But what was the problem? The problem was that as the system had already collapsed, remember that the soldiers in the war lacked the necessary equipment to fight, and they were starving, and there was a famine. So they also wanted Russia to quit the war. So the soldiers, the army, instead of shooting the demonstrators, they joined the demonstrators. And this was a total chaos for the Tsar, who had to come back to Moscow. And when he was coming back to Russia, he was forced to abdicate, he was arrested, and he was sent to Siberia. We will see how he was executed later, he and his family. So the executive power was vacant. The Russians decided that the leaders of the Duma, remember that the leaders of the Duma was the legislative body, had to take control of the country. They were Paul Milenkov and Alexander Kerensky. They were the leaders of the Duma. Paul Milenkov was the foreign minister, and Alexander Kerensky was the minister of justice. So they became the rulers, the executive government in Russia. The king, the Tsar, was not anymore at the government. So he was. Remember that he had been arrested. So Milenkov and Kerensky ruled Russia after the abdication of the Tsar. What did the Russians want? Do you remember? The Russians wanted the government, the Russian government, to quit the war. Did Alexander Milenkov and Paul Milenkov and Alexander Kerensky, did they decide to quit the war? No, they didn't quit the war, because they issued a declaration in which they stated that Russia would honor the international obligations, especially with Great Britain and France, and later with the United States. So Russia kept on fighting the war, and this was a huge disappointment for the Russians, for the soldiers, and for the population of Russia. Who appeared on stage? Remember, Russia was fighting the war against Germany. So what did the Germans do in order to stir the masses in Russia? There were a lot of the revolutionary men who had been exiled in Germany, and they were like prisoners as well. So the German government arranged for different revolutionaries, including Lenin, to return to Russia. So the Germans freed them and allowed them to go back to Russia. What was the objective? To stir the masses and to make the Russian political context even more complicated. So when Vladimir Lenin came back to Russia, the Bolsheviks party appeared again. Remember, the Bolsheviks party once was the Social Democratic Party. The Bolsheviks, remember, were the Marxist revolutionaries, the ones they say that the time for revolution has come. On the other side, we had the Mensheviks, who said that the time for a revolution was not ripe yet. But the ones who took the lead were the members of the Marxist revolutionaries, that is to say, the Bolsheviks, with Vladimir Lenin at the front. So this was practically the beginning of the end of the provisional government, because everything was ready for the great coup d'etat, the dictatorship of the proletariat that the Bolsheviks wanted to install. So not only Vladimir Lenin appeared, but also Leon Trotsky was in Russia one more time, and Leon Trotsky was the leader or the creator of the Red Guard, a kind of important army that the Russians had, or that the Bolsheviks in this case, had created. So the Red Guard, with the command of Leon Trotsky, occupied different public buildings. What was the objective? To overthrow Paul Milenkov and Alexander Kerensky, who were the members of the provisional government.